everybody. It is Friday, May 15th, and just taking Shayla out here. It's kind of an overcast day today in my southwest suburb of Chicago, and just wanted to thank everybody again who has subscribed to my channel. I'm past the 50 mark, so I can go live. I just have to figure out how to do that. So be patient with me. I'm a newbie at this YouTube stuff and streaming. So anyway, and if you have any advice or any tips, please leave me a comment and let me know. And so yeah, I guess the next 3-4 days we're going to be much hotter. It's going to be like in the 80s, and rain, thunderstorms. Oh, and as you can hear, the birdies are having their fun for right now until the rain comes. And my town's one of the fire stations is going out to a job, so certain parts of the day there's a lot more sirens, usually in the morning when the kids are going to school, and then around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then in the evening. So yeah, Shayla thinks that there's some critter living over here again, and she is probably right, because my next door neighbor has an outdoor spa or hot tub that has been neglected and not cleaned and rotted out, and so raccoons and whatnot have moved in. And so I think we have some more critters, because we've noticed that there are some parts in the fence here where they've dug through, and so we'll just have to see. And when it's not raining, my boyfriend Nathan and I can try to cut back some of this stuff that grows in between the fences every year, so because it makes it kind of hard to see where they are. And oh, here's a hole over here. See where they dug? Yeah. So, yep. Whoa. What you sensing, Shayla? What are you sensing? Huh? She will find where they are, that's for sure. And that's another reason why, I keep her on the harness and leash, because I just don't want her, getting into something that she's not supposed to, and eating stuff that she's not supposed to. And oh yeah, see, this is where we plugged up one hole last year, because it was getting access to our yard, and I don't know. I just don't want Shayla to get, into a fight with anything either, and if there is a big enough hole, I don't want her to get through it, Uh-oh, that was just the wind. No worries. It's just the wind blowing the branches. Yeah. Yeah, see over here, it's called something, but it has little red berries at some point, which a neighbor told me are poisonous. And so, if anybody knows what this stuff is, I think it's called thornberry or thornbush or something. It's an invasive, weed, as you can tell, very invasive. Look at that. We had that all cut back in the fall, and look how fast it's grown back. I don't know what to do. But here's another hole. You found another hole, huh? Yeah? See, this is where the sewer is. So whenever we do get a... Oh, God bless you. Did you get something up your nose? Uh-oh, uh-oh. I better keep better track of you so you don't get into something you're not supposed to. Goodness gracious. But yeah, so see, there's another hole. Good shake. Yeah, and last year when Nathan cut back a bunch of stuff, he put a lot of it right here, and we didn't collect it, and you have to have it like only about a foot long, and you have to bundle the stuff, otherwise the lawn truck for the garbage pickup won't pick it up. And so Nathan cut back a lot of stuff, and then he piled it all here, and it killed the grass. And plus, when we had our 3 major early spring storms, in March and April, kind of flooded over here, and that's another reason why nothing really grows over here. So, but yeah, I just wanted to jump on here and thank everybody again, and also to give a shout out to the Defender of Ants. His other channel is also the Lord of the Gadflies, Scott Hochstetter, and he originally is from this area here in the suburbs of Chicago, and so he's been in a very, very stressful and seems like never-ending battle with Scientology, and so they try to charge him with 16 misdemeanors and 6 felonies, and so far the 16 misdemeanors were dismissed. So the prosecutor, the DA, decided to dismiss the charges, and that's in LA, Los Angeles, California, and so that is excellent news. And he didn't, have a lawyer officially per se. He consulted with a lawyer friend, and he had to get an investigator, and so they, had some difficulty serving subpoenas on the top Scientology cult executives. So the judge in the misdemeanor case let him do alternative service, and so then he was able to get the subpoenas served. So that is awesome. And eventually Scientology will have to have their executives and whatnot appear in court and testify and get it on the court record. And that's exactly what we need to do to this multi-billion-dollar human trafficking cult. And they disconnect families, they traffic children and other people. They like to snatch up immigrants and bring them over here and confiscate their passports so they don't have any means of, getting out and being able to go anywhere. So, yeah, it's an evil, evil cult, So, another reason why I started watching the anti-Scientology community was because I believe my aunt, Mary Ann, is a Scientologist, and I think she's been one for a couple decades, but I think she's a public. She's not in the Sea Org. The Sea Org is the indentured slave, highly dedicated section of the cult, and they're the ones that have to live in the lovely Scientology buildings like Big Blue in LA and other locations And Scientology is a global cult. They have buildings all over the world. And yes, it's been shrinking in size as far as members, but they still have all this real estate that they have zapped up. And especially in Clearwater, Florida, that's another place where they, have Sea Org members. And people should be allowed to leave, a religion. Scientology was classified as a religion, and they infiltrated the IRS. This is decades ago, and then they were able to blackmail and threaten IRS agents in order to get tax-exempt status. And so that's how they've gotten away with not having to pay any property taxes like a normal business would have to do, because Scientology is not a religion. It is a business that traffics people and abuses people. Yeah, so if it was a religion, you would be able to leave whenever you want, and you wouldn't have to disconnect from your family. I was raised Catholic, although I haven't gone to Mass in several years, ever since my mom passed away suddenly at Loyola. And so I just haven't, and plus there's other things that I disagree with the Catholic Church. But anyway, I didn't have any, Catholic, people or priests or deacons or nuns or anybody, knocking on my door or calling my house or talking to my neighbors or trying to invent, stories on me, and that's called fair gaming, and that's what Scientology likes to do. If someone does escape and get out, then they do what's called fair gaming tactics. And, I did watch the series that was on A&E with Leah Remini and Mike Rinder called Scientology: The Aftermath. And so then that made me, think about my Aunt Marianne again and her husband. And they live in Naperville, Illinois, which, is a big, affluent, somewhat wealthy suburb. And so Scientology likes to, target people that have a lot of money. They also like to target the vulnerable. And so, yeah, we need to work very hard and get Scientology shut down once and for all. And one way to do that is through the court system, which DOA, the Lord of the Gadflies, Scott Hofstadter, is doing. And a lot of the second and third generation ex-Scientologists have not been supporting him, which I find to be very strange. They should be supporting him because he's fighting for the right to protest, the right for freedom of speech, and Scientology, is in collusion with the LAPD. There's evidence of it, and it's going to be brought into court. And so yeah, it's like you have to get these things on the record and publicly known and expose Scientology. And so that's what Scott is trying to do. And there's other, channels on YouTube that are, in support of Scott. And one of them is Kirby's Mom and Helleborg and GM Flower, Julie Curtis, Hippie Chick 69, Adrian DT, I need to write down everybody. Sorry. My short-term memory is not as good as it used to be. So, oh gosh. Who else comes to mind? Well, anyway, I will sit down today and write down so that I give a proper shout out to everybody, you know. And I'm really upset with the second and third generation ex-Scientologists who are on YouTube, you know, and they've been slandering Scott, and they have not been supporting him. And so I'm very, very upset with them. And I quit watching their YouTube channels because I just didn't want to listen to their lies anymore. And they're going to be taken into court too. You know, you cannot, you know, defame somebody and slander their name. You just can't do that. So, and there's video proof of it, of them doing it. So, you know, it's like once it's on the internet, it's out there, baby. You know, no denying it. So, yeah, so I just wanted to jump on here and say hey to everybody. And I've got to learn how to do a live stream. And also I need to learn how to see, you know, who my subscribers are. It only gives me like 3 or 4 people. And that's it. And I've tried, and I'm just not very tech savvy. So, and I haven't checked any comments on my previous videos. So if somebody did, you know, drop me a comment and gave me some advice, thank you in advance. And I'll check that out too. But, and I'm not on here, you know, for money. I originally started my channel for my little adopted doggie Shayla here. She is Chihuahua and Rat Terrier, and she's about 6 years old now. We adopted her when she was about a year old. That's what the vet, you know, estimated. And so we've had her since August 19th of 2021. And she's a good little girl. She was very good on the leash. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, you, huh? Oh, you got some eye boogies. Okay, I'll let you guys go for right now. I've got to clean Shayla's eyes for her. And we might be getting some rain here shortly because I noticed that the birds have gotten quieter. And there's a whole bunch of them here in my backyard. So I think they're starting to take cover. And I think something is coming. But here's a shot of my magnolia tree. And, oh, another thing I wanted to ask is, I need to have a new storage shed here in my backyard. This one is rusted out. It got dented from hail and whatnot, and the floor is completely rotted out. When I had this put up, oh gosh, over 20 years ago, it was some young guys, and they did like a plywood floor only. I didn't have money for concrete. I wish that I could, you know, do it right and have a concrete floor. That way it doesn't shift over time and doesn't rot out, because critters, you know, decided to make a home. So, oh, there's 2 geese. 2 geese flying overhead. There they go. There's a pond behind the village hall. And so they like to go over there. But anyway, and I guess, you know, for my town, and I didn't know at the time when I had this put up that you needed to have a permit to put up a shed. So, you know, I guess for anything, in this town you have to get a permit for anything. So, and I guess you're supposed to have it so many feet away from the border of your yard, of the fence. So I'm not quite sure where to put a new one. I don't know. I really don't want to put anything there because there's, some good grass over there, and I don't want to block, from getting, over on the side of the house. And if you put it towards the back part of the yard, if we get, flooding rains and stuff, it tends to, flood all along the fence. And so, and I don't want to have it, block my magnolia tree, and so I don't know where we should put it. But when I was a kid, the worst I've ever seen flooding was it came up from, because that's the sewer, it came all the way up to the patio, up to about to right here. So that's the worst I've seen it. So I don't know. And I would like to put concrete over here, because it always, gets a lot of weeds here. It doesn't really grow grass. We've tried. And when we have the heavy rains, it just kind of floods here. So, I don't know. If I could get I'd like to get sliding glass doors, either there or the back door. Sliding glass doors. One, to get like appliances in and out more easily. And, just to have an easier way to get in and out. And maybe, I would like to maybe do concrete here and put a shed here. I don't know. If you have any advice about that too, let me know. And my parents always wanted to have a side driveway, and they wanted to have concrete over here. And back in the 80s, they were told by the village that you cannot do concrete where you have the gas, hookup and stuff. And they said there's, the gas lines and whatnot. But there's like 15 other houses here in my subdivision that I've taken pictures of and wrote down the addresses. And they all have concrete on the side where they have the gas. The gas meter or whatever. If you can see it there behind the air conditioner. So it's like, there's a lot of people that they got to have concrete. So I don't know who they bribed for that, or we were just, blackballed for it, because my next door neighbor over here, she used to be a village trustee, and she screwed us with her wood fence. The first wood fence, she had it smack dab up to our gate, and it compromised our gate where we couldn't even open it or close it. And she probably said, "Don't let them do concrete." Because she thinks she owns the neighborhood. And so that's why when I got money, after my dad passed away, I had some money, and that's when I decided to put up a 6-foot-high chain link fence all around my yard to secure it for, at that time I had my other 2 dogs, Cassidy and Snowball, so I wanted to secure them. And instead of just, having the gate, be right here, I extended it all the way out to the edge of the house, of the garage. And I did it on the other side as well, too. Oh, and that's another thing, because I want to have it more stable. Stop. Shayla, don't eat bird poop. Come on. So I want to have concrete here, too, so that I can have these storage sheds, be on more secure footing. And see how they're leaning, and the doors won't close all the way anymore. Because over time, because we just had, we had rock and mulch and some patio bricks. And over time, it has shifted, you know. So we got to get that figured out, because this is not good. This is not the way, And every time it rains, rainwater's getting in there. So anyway, yeah. So, yep. So, she screwed us. Couldn't use the gate on this side of the house. Couldn't use the gate on the other side of the house because that neighbor also put up a wood fence. And they had their fence crew take a saw and they drilled the concrete post for our gate. And that compromised it then and weakened it. We couldn't open and close that gate properly either. So both neighbors screwed my parents, But luckily on the other side of me, I have a very nice neighbor. And so she's a good person. And so I'm thankful for her. Her husband passed away a couple of years ago, and he's he was a good man, and they have 4 little kids and then 1 adult child. The woman, had her daughter from a previous relationship, and so she lives there, and she helps out her mom with the 4 little kids now because their dad, passed away. So, anyway, I've been rambling on for a long time here, sorry. And just to recap, great news for DOA. The 16 misdemeanors were dismissed, were dropped. Next he has the 6 felonies, and I believe next Thursday or Friday is when he's supposed to be in court for the felonies, and he's, oh, she spots a squirrel. Squirrel. Yep, you scared it, Shayla. It went in the other yard. Alright, so as I was saying, the 16 misdemeanors were dropped, and so he has 6 felonies, and hopefully those will be dropped as well. And they've had him with an ankle monitor so that he couldn't get close to any of the Scientology buildings to protest. And so hopefully the ankle monitor comes off, because I think this just, it's been enough. It should have never been put on in the first place. But like Scott has said in his streams, that it forced him to not get in any more trouble with the cult and the LAPD, and to focus on getting evidence against Scientology. And so on the positive side, that that was good, but he shouldn't have been on an ankle monitor. What he did was not violent against any of the members of Scientology. He basically, took one of their signs that was for an event to trick families into, being into the cult and giving their personal information. And then he put up posters on the illegal plant boxes that Scientology put up so that the protesters would have really nowhere to protest. And well, that's another thing, because Defender of Ants, DOA, Lord of the Gadflies, he organized and put together a protest encampment, and they, had, some girls out there, and they're feeding the homeless and other people just walking by, and, so they were helping the community. And, oh, there's that squirrel. There's that squirrel. And there's a robin. Bet you that's the mommy or daddy of the two birdies that we saw a couple days ago. Yeah. So anyway, I was saying, so yeah, it was a great protest encampment. It got a lot of publicity, and a lot of people were then getting informed about Scientology that way. And so Scott, put that all together. And some of the other YouTube creators and the anti-Scientology channels, they were jealous, and they tried to do everything to sabotage it. And but anyway, yeah, so DOA has done a lot. Kirby's mom has done a lot, as well as other people. And there's also people behind the scenes helping out, and they've helped him, get his information together for court. And people have donated, money, and just by watching the videos, helps out. So anyway, that you can support him, as well as Kirby's mom and the other people that I've mentioned, that all helps. So well, I'm gonna leave it on this note and let the robin get some more food for their babies, and hope everybody has a great day, and hope that you're happy, healthy, and safe. And Scientology is an evil cult that must be shut down. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.